Hope you guys got this big trade to my YouTube viewers, and good morning to you. Welcome to our daily webinar. We're in daily trading room, and yesterday we took this trade, so I hope many of you took it because this was the simplest pattern they had yesterday that probably worked well, right? So why I started with this is because I want to answer to a comment that was made in YouTube, right? Every now and then, if I see something interesting, I'll address it, right? So the guy was looking at Bitcoin, and I think he might have been the same guy who promised to stop trading if the yen goes where it goes, but he didn't stop trading. He just came back with a comment on Bitcoin, and he said, okay, you said you had a perfect buy setup here, but then it dropped. So what happened? So let me explain again to him, because this is not really to him, this is to all my YouTube viewers. So you understand wave analysis, right? How it works. Wave analysis is not about being absolutely right about what the market is going to do. Wave analysis is about understanding patterns, understanding the possibilities of patterns, and then wait for a setup that if that possibility works, you should be in the trade. If it doesn't work, then you're not in the trade, right? So I think if you remember from this point here, we thought this market is going to go up. And then this one came up here, drop again, did this, drop again. And this one was a buy. We did buy that. We thought this would make a running flat here and go back. It did make a running flat. As a matter of fact, it made an expanding flat and it dropped. And this one also, we thought if you get a flag here, we will buy. If we get a flag here, we will buy. Again, it didn't break the top. It just came back here, making it. If you get a flag here, we will buy. So you see one consistency. I'm only talking about buying, not selling the Bitcoin. And again, let me repeat. It's not about selling. We're not looking to sell Bitcoin. We're not looking to sell any of the cryptos. We're absolutely not trying to sell any one of them. We're not even looking for the sell. We're not even checking to see if there is a sell setup or not. And it's simple. And this is where wave analysis is going to help you. It dropped, you call that a drop. This is what I call a drop. If you're calling that a drop being the same spot, then you have a problem of understanding how you should trade, right? Especially cryptos. If those sharp moves up and down happen really quick, it's something you have to trade slightly different. In any case, there wasn't any sell setup. So if he sold it, then he's really a magician. He would have to show me why he sell it and how he sell it, right? And let's see if that brings consistency. We're not looking for a sell. We're looking for the next big move up to this level and possibly even to that level. If they come here and then they drop again, then yeah, I agree with that. That would probably work. You could probably sell it from here because the size of the move, the risk to reward would be good, right? And then you look for the next big move up. Then you look for the move down, and then you look for the move up. See how long they stayed in this consolidation? And this impulse was only this much. Think of an impulse this much, how long they can stay in this consolidation. That's the important thing. Understanding the patterns is what is important, what we're looking for. So because we're back at the low in a sideways move, and the same thing again, I'll repeat, the same thing when they broke this top, the same effect. I don't know if it's the same person, but the same problem they were having when I was saying, once we break the top, we're looking for the sell. We look for this sell. Then we look for this to break down, and it still went up. And then we look for this to break down, and guess what? That went. So you're looking for a setup. What you're saying is that if X happens, right, you have an impulse and you're starting to get a correction. I don't know which one of these is going to go out because they're very complex, and they can become very complex. This correction could take you years, literally years. But what we're saying, at every time we make a low, if there is a chance for a buy setup, we would take that trade, hoping that that's the one that goes, especially if you have a complete pattern already, right? It's that simple. Well, one complete pattern doesn't mean the end of the correction. You could have a series of those complete patterns. I don't want to complicate it too much for you guys, especially if you're not wave analysis trader, you're not in my group, but I hope you can understand what we're trying to do, so that will help you to take advantage of what we're doing. So the focus is not in what didn't work or what didn't go, right? We're not magicians, we're forecasters. We're saying that if this happens, then this is what you'll expect. And if it didn't go well, guess what? I'm not in the trade. But if it had taken off like a rocket, we will be in it. So that's okay. You're not in the trade. Again, hey, let me give you an example of one that we were in, but we are out of it already. I think it was this one. Yeah, this one. This was a buy. Right? Remember that? That was a buy. The same pattern. You saw this, you get this, you buy it. Remember what I said to you yesterday? Put it to break even because there's no guarantee that this is the one that goes. Right? You can see they're making bigger moves, correct? They're making moves, correct. They can make a 1, 2, 3 and make a new low. It's possible they can make new low. But are you looking for the sell? No, you're not looking. Are you looking for this profit? Well, if that is what you're trading for, then that's a different style of trading. What I'm showing you here is more long-term trading, more investment type trading than these ones, right? Where you can let it make a low. Guess what I'll tell you again? Let it make a low. Buy it back from the low again. We'll repeat the same thing. And if this turns out to be a 1, 2, 3 to this level, this will be your trade. And you know what? When it go down back, you can sell it or you can buy it back from the bottom. You don't need to fight. The idea of getting into traders to getting at the best possible place. That's the whole idea. The idea is not to say, well, this is the one that has to go. But like I said, you can either learn or you can troll. Those are the choices you have. I would advise you to learn because the ones that go, we get them. So we made profit yesterday. He ended up trolling. Good for you. At least you become a very good troll, while my traders would be very good traders. So dollar index, I told you there's a high probability we're going to go back up. We did go back up because now we're going to break this top and they're consolidating here. So I expect this to break out today. Is it going to break out today? Let me go back again and explain it to those who are not so listening so carefully. We're expecting to break out. So what we would do is we'll wait for the setup here and then we'll put an entry for the trade. We might even enter the trade at a better place, but just for simplicity, we'll look for a buy. What if this starts to drop, come back to the low? What if? Is it possible? I can tell you right now it is. Right? I can tell you that right now it is possible. But at the moment, we're not looking for that. If it does drop like this and make a flag here, well, then tomorrow, tomorrow is Saturday, Monday, you'll see me telling you we sold this here. Right? Which means we expect it to come back and retest that low if we get that set up. And then it will probably go up and come back a lot more times before it goes out. That would change the structure. It would change the pattern, but the up move is still there, will still happen. So let's go again. Silver. Good sell? Very good sell. If you sold that, you made money. If you didn't, well, you didn't make money. Right? It's going to break this low because this would be the bigger flat. I think we'll definitely go break the low. We're expecting it to break this low. So if we get a consolidation here today, if silver makes a consolidation in this range here today, I think that would be another sell setup. If not Monday, I don't think it will finish today. I think by Monday you'll get that trade. Gold, we were looking for a buy. As a matter of fact, if my traders were in, they would have been tagged in this trade here already. Where they would probably close it, we'll have to go on the 15th to see if they probably would even be taking a loss on this, right? The stop on the trade would be here, but you would probably either close the trade here for less, you don't close it where the stop is, or you're still in the trade and waiting for an opportunity to close it. Because when they drop like this, if they don't take you out, what happens is they consolidate. And that you use as an exit strategy. Use that to exit for less, and then watch it comes back here. So either you closed it here already on the 15th, which means you take that loss, or you're actually looking for this. Why it didn't go, but if it had gone, that is a trade we're looking for. Why do we think this can go? Because of the bigger structure it could go, right? So that's a possibility. So now what we're looking for, okay, is this is still pretty sharp, right? It's still pretty sharp. This was pretty sharp. So I don't see anywhere where we're getting any running flat. I wouldn't look at that as a running flat pattern. What I would look for is what happens here. How big is this correction? If it's very small and they break the low, once you break the low, we'll look for a buy setup again. Can this give us what Bitcoin did? A few up and down, up and down, up and down? Yeah, we'll do it. We might even take 1 or 2 small losses. We might even take a few small wins in it. But eventually, one of them is going to go up. And you're probably saying, well, that sounds like a good guesswork, right? Well, try guessing this one dropping from the top. Remember when everybody thought, okay, the war is going to send this to heaven? Literally go and watch at all the news agencies. You can go back and see if you can get record for NBC and Bloomberg and all of them. And you will hear they're all talking, oh, well, this war, all the investors are running to safe haven. Gold is going to go to, I don't know, 5,000? You guess. Everybody was guessing. Well, we didn't believe that because the structure was not showing us that. And literally, if you take a small loss here, that's okay. You can take a few more until you get this trade. That's a trade you're looking for. Is it going to happen now? Well, I believe it will. Can we get a few more pullback before that happens? Okay, that's okay. That's trading, right? You're not fortune tellers. You're using a system that works, a method that works, and it works more than it doesn't, right? I already showed you how many of them went. One didn't go. One that you probably got tagged in that didn't go. The rest of them, you're either not in the trade, they went without you, or you're making profit. So let's see this one is going to do. I think a consolidation here would be a good sell just to break the low again, take the profit, and then look for the upside. This one was a buy. Surprising, this one was a buy and it's still good. If you bought here, it's still good. It's a still good trade. I still think this was going to go back. So I believe we'll probably consolidate here and then we'll see this go up. If it consolidates here, this would be a buy. Probably wait for a bigger consolidation now. This structurally is not changed. Can it drop lower? Can this drop lower? Yeah, then we're not selling it. We're not interested in this sell. We're interested in this buy because this is the move you're going to get now. Right? This sell would only just break this low and then reverse. Euro came down, expected. Some of my traders should have got this trade. I think a few of them got it when we were asking in the trading room, got that one. We were more focused on the pound. Some of my traders got it, not all of them. And now it's actually consolidating here. So what's next with euro? What we are looking for is when euro is going to break this low. So if this actually comes down here a little lower into this low here and then go back up, that would be a perfect sell setup. If that happens today, we will be in the sell. What are the chances of this going back to the top? Well, it's rare. They could, but it's rare. I don't think it will go back up. But if it does go back up, we'll probably get into buy as long as it doesn't come to the low. If it comes to the low, that negates the buy. If it goes up now, it's a buy opportunity. Now you would have to still be very careful how you get into that buy because the chances are you could get into the buy and it doesn't really go very far, right? Let's say this buy just break the top and decide to drop. You'd have to get out of this really quick and get into the sell, right? So I would think that the buy is not something we're focusing on. We're focusing on the sell, and this is the B part of it. Well, this is the corrective phase. Come down to this level, go back up, and that would be a perfect sell setup, right? That's what we're looking for. What if that doesn't happen? Who cares? I think this is what you have to start wave analysis. We're looking for patterns that we know. If that doesn't happen, then there's another pattern that will create, that will form. And then we look at the other pattern and said, okay, well, now that you're getting this pattern, what are the possibilities? What is the entry point? What is the strategy of trading that? And that is what it comes down to. You can't predict, you can't try to be a fortune teller and tell the market it has to do this. Because it doesn't have to do what you want it to do. It's doing what it's doing, and then you try to figure out what it's doing, understanding, using all the past knowledge you have of patterns, figure out what one is more likely to happen, and then say, well, if this happens, I would do this. Sometimes there are more than two versions of what could happen, but there are 3 or 4 versions of how it could develop based on all the patterns we know. And we could say, okay, well, if this pattern is going to happen, it's not a sell or a buy, we'll just leave it. But if this one is to happen, then this is a good sell because we know where that will go. And then we will take that trade, which is what we did with the pound yesterday. See, it's that simple. And there were a lot of trades yesterday we didn't touch because we simply didn't know what they were going to do. I already showed you this. We're looking for a sell again. This one is clearly going to be a sell. For this to change, it has to come back really much to the top here. Aussie, we were looking for a buy. And there's a good reason why we're looking for the buy in there also, because there's a good chance that when you break this, you'd normally go. But I also told you we didn't break the low, which means at some point, even if this goes up, it will just be some bigger correction and then drop. Since I was wrong about a bigger correction, it probably will still be the bigger correction, but not the one I was looking for. because this looks like the first impulse in that bigger correction, which means if this starts to correct a lot here, we'll probably come here, go back there, make the final drop, and then go with a bigger flat here. That seems like the most likely pattern based on what we have. That is, we have one impulse, two impulses. Now you've got to wait for the corrective phase. You just can't sell this here because that is dangerous to sell. Even if this drop, it's dangerous. It could do this and go right back up. And that would set you up for big failure, right? So if I would just let this drop, if it's dropping, sell the pound. It's that easy, right? If this makes a correction, we will consider the risk to reward and we'll decide whether we'll sell it. Because it still is going to be a B wave, right? If this piece goes back up here, right, it still has to come back here and go back up and then drop. This can't drop like that. If it drops like that, then we are not going to finish the move now because this is a sharp wave. This is a sharp wave. You still need a corrective phase. You need another sharp wave, another one up, finish a running flat, come back down, and then go. Because that's how patterns behave most of the time. New Zealand. This one, we were waiting to see whether it would make a correction. It didn't make a correction. It dropped. Now, this one, remember, originally we thought this would go one more down. This spike up again. We don't have a clear pattern here. The only thing you could possibly do is decide whether we put this as some kind of an expanding flat. That is something we'll have to look at. I don't like it as an expanding flat as yet, but we'll take a look at it today in the trading room and we'll see whether that makes sense. Or this would somehow become a bigger running flat. Right, but both of those are very sharp and we already broke the low. So when this happened, when you already break the low, it means that there probably clearly there's a pattern above that we probably overlooked. So we'll relook at it today. Sometimes you do overlook patterns. We'll relook at it. I wouldn't really go with this as a, we know this was 1, 2, 3, but I wouldn't go with that as the complete pattern. I think that would be partial, one leg of a pattern. So we'll decide whether we would look at this, probably, I don't know, this down here and then up there. There are a few more sharp ones we could probably put into consideration and see where that pattern is. Right now, there's a sell setup here, and this actually is a good sell setup. The only thing you have to be careful with this one is you're selling at the bottom of a structure. And that is not a good idea. The idea of selling at the bottom of a structure is never good, right? Because if you're selling when you broke this low, you see what happened, they went back. If you're selling when you broke this low, you see what happened, they went back. If you're selling when you break this low, well, you got the point, right? I think by now you already got the point. They can go back up. So selling at the bottom here is not a great idea. It's not that there isn't a sell setup there. And this sell setup might even drop through the structure pretty sharp, right? But guess what? If I have to sell this, or I have to sell the pound, or I have to sell the euro, I'll choose the euro or the pound. It's the same trade. If it's a dollar movement, it's the same trade. Right? Unless the New Zealand will move on its own. And if the New Zealand is moving in its own, then all I have to do is go look at all the New Zealand pairs. And instead of selling the New Zealand dollar, I probably will either buy the pound New Zealand, the euro New Zealand, or sell New Zealand yen or something else. Sell something with a better structure that guarantees you the move to go. Because this one, a little too much risk. See? That's how you trade. So once you understand all of that stuff, that is what you get when you join our trading room. Those details that I'm not giving when I'm doing this webinar. Very detailed understanding of why we will take a trade, why we wouldn't take a trade, what is the strategy of taking the trade, and how it's going to work. So don't look at what I tell you as the forecast. Okay, we expect this to go up and believe that, okay, well, that's it. You can buy now. There's no reason for you to buy it. We sometimes don't buy it because we're expecting it to go up, but we don't have the setup to trade it. Or it didn't behave the way we expect it to behave, or the flag didn't go the way we expect the flag to go. And in that case, you said, okay, no trade. You don't have a trade there. That's okay. That's part of how you trade. You do the analysis, you wait for the setup, and then you trade. Because I hope the rest of the traders can understand that. I'm not worried about the troll, but he brought up a good idea, right? He's putting out something that he sees that he can, he can exaggerate it. And I want that exaggeration for you to understand how that works, right? I use that point that he made to show the rest of the traders, this is how it actually works. And that is why trading in a group like ours is much better than trading alone. Because you would not get that amount of viewpoints, and you will not get that amount of discussion, and you will not get that amount of knowledge put into your trade. So for those who are asking me what they get when they join the group, that's much what you get. Swiss, again, we were expecting this to drop, right? Remember I said we would look for a sell setup here for this to go down, but then it started to go up really sharp. And the first thing, once it got to that level, we cancel the trade. So when I did a webinar yesterday, it was somewhere here, right? And I said, if this consolidate and drop, we will have an entry there. And then it went up like that and we pulled the entry, because if it goes up like that, and even if it's still going to be a sell, it will have to consolidate like this, go back up there, and then we will sell it from somewhere at the top here. But then it went and break the top. Okay, that's okay. I'm not trying to buy the Swiss at this level. I'm not trying to buy this thing at the top there. Especially since I'm not very clear what the pattern is at the top there. I'm not talking about the little small patterns, and I'm talking about a bigger pattern. I have no idea what that pattern is as yet. There are at least one or two pieces more that need to form before I can figure out, well, I think I know what this pattern is doing. Right? As of now, no idea. We even went all the way to the weekly and the monthly to figure out what it could be. See? And that's the kind of detail we would do when we don't understand it. And if you can't figure out it clearly, then don't force it. Don't push something that you don't understand. Just wait. Patience will help you, right? Patience will tell you that, okay, wait a little on this, and the sell would be the better trade, not the buy. In any case, I didn't see a buy setup on it anywhere. CAD? Yep, CAD, we anticipated that it could go back up. I don't know if any of my traders tried to buy it, but there's an anticipation because we didn't break the top. And although this was going down, I was assuming if it goes down, it will be like a deeper correction before it goes back up. So this could be a buy setup pair that will go. This is pretty much a correction of its own. You can see the flat in the middle. You saw one, you see two, you see three. I was expecting that. I didn't think it was going to drop this much. I thought it will end here and then go back up. We were looking for that buy. It's the same buy. You're going to get the same buy exactly at the same level here to go break this top. That would be a very nice trade today. And since we have CAD news today, that could finish off that move today very nicely. Yen, no surprise here. We expect this to go back up. There wasn't a really great buy setup. If you go into 15, there was only one buy setup we managed to see in the 15, which would be this one, right? This one came down pretty deep. So this would be the only buy setup if you take that and you kept it. It's not amazing. I mean, it's very small trade. It didn't go very much. All I'm expecting them to do is break the top, just like this broke the top, right? And come back down. So this will probably break the top even shorter. And then it will either go for another deep correction or it could reverse. Now, since we don't have the pound breaking the low, we don't have euro breaking the low, we don't have CAD breaking the top, dollar index still has some up move. There's a likelihood that yen will make a few more big corrections and continue to go higher, right? Big corrections go higher, big corrections go higher until all of them are lined up and ready for the big turn, because this one will get a big turn, whether you believe it or not, whether you want to, you could follow me to, you might have doubts that it's going to give you that big move down. Well, let's put this as a test. You keep the doubts, right? You keep your doubts about this coming back to this level, and we will track this, and then we'll see whether we get that move down, which will be an equivalent of this, something like that, right? And then up. But don't stop trading because you don't believe it, right? Don't do what the other guy did. The same one who just commented Bitcoin as well, right? Don't follow him and stop trading because you don't believe it's going to go. And when it goes, you'll stop. Just watch it and you'll learn that sometimes they do stretch it like this, and then they're going to reverse it really fast back to this level. That would complete the pattern, and then we'll go. Most times you get a completion of the pattern, right? There are rare times when we don't see a pattern that's completed or doesn't make very much sense. This one is pretty simple. This is not a very complicated one. So all you have to do is wait for when you start to see the momentum is dying out here. And I think you can already see that. The divergence show you momentum is dying out. You're getting really big flats. You're getting small impulses. That's a good sign that you're turning. So watch this go a little higher, and then we'll see if we get, you can still get a buy there because there's still a trade to go if you get a flag on the 1 hour, right? If you get a 1 hour flag, there's still a trade to go break this top and probably a little higher. Maybe take that. Euro New Zealand. Okay, we're still going sideways. We did make 1, 2, 3. We went back up. This didn't go lower. It's going higher. So there's a buy setup here too. That's the top. That wasn't the buy. There's a buy setup here. And this was just a flat, right? This was just a 1, 2, 3. This could have been a good buy. I wasn't in the trading room. I don't know if any of my traders took that. That was in the afternoon. I wasn't there, so we'll have to figure out. But that could have been a good buy. Now you can get a buy here for this if it goes up. This could continue to go for a very, very long time. So any buy setup will take. EuroCAD. I think we'll get a buy setup, but it wouldn't be this, not now, because this is a really big flat here. So I wouldn't be surprised if this comes back here. Go back up, maybe even come back a few times and then take off. We might get some more consolidation, but there's CAD news today. So it will still be a buy setup for us, right? We'll still be looking for the buy no matter what happened, right? But there's no sell setup we're looking for here. It doesn't matter if it drops. We're not looking for a sell setup. Euro Swiss. Okay, I'm expecting this to come back down within the structure. We're just at the top again of the structure. It's not coming down again as yet. So the question is, how do we look at this? This can be all the correction. This is not an impulse. So there's somewhere in here we're making a bigger flat. I think we might be looking at it. We have one of these flats like this that is similar to this in the Euro Yen. I think I explained it yesterday, where you get a relatively sharp move here and you get a relatively sharp move in here. And it repeats itself with a relatively sharp move in here, making a three-wave structure before they go. Right? Now, can we break the top and do that? It'll just be a running flat. So right into that top, I'm not buying any. If it breaks the top and make a flag, well, then we will consider buying, right? Because above the top, any flag means that it could go more, even one small impulse. But buying right into it is not a good idea, right? So I'll just leave it. Don't trade that, that's all. Trade something else until it either break the top or it reverses and then we start selling. Euros, I expected to go back up. This is not a surprise. I don't know if any of my trader got this as well. I wasn't there. That would have been a good trade because we have this, and I explained that. If you get that, you definitely have to get something to go back up to, that looks like this. That seems to make sense to me because this one wasn't really fitting it. It was a bit too small and it wasn't looking good. So I think now there's a good chance we should come back down, right? There's a good chance that if I'm right about this and this does what we think it's doing, that is making this bigger flat. It could go a little more. I could see that possibility there, but then I will expect it to drop. And if I'm expecting that to happen, then I'm not buying it where it is. Again, I'll probably buy anything else, but not this. But if it does make that little move up and turn, and we get a sell set up, we will definitely be in the trade to the downside. See? So if you were here yesterday where this was dropping, I was like, I don't like the sell because we don't have this. See? It works. And it works like magic. Euro Yen, leave it alone. It's going to consolidate a lot more before you get any trade set up. Euro Pound, this one actually went up. Well, now we are breaking out of the structure. So yesterday we didn't break out. Now we are breaking out of the structure. And that could change anything we looked at before. But again, I don't like the way this started to go up as the impulse. That's my problem because I can't see the whole structure. This is sharp up. That would have completed this piece. This move down is very deep, very sharp. It's not corrective. It doesn't make sense. Right? It doesn't make sense at the moment until we see what this piece does. And if there's anything that this piece has to do to make sense, it has to come down back. Right? It has to come down back, either make a new low or all the way come down back to like this and then go back up, making this a flat of its own. And now that would make sense. So you take this off, let's take this off. This one is more of a 1, 2, 3 structure up. Let me just put it so you can see what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that as 1, 2, 3 up. And this one is relatively sharp down. So if this is a 1, 2, 3 up here, then you need something relatively sharp down here and then go back up. That would make sense to me. Right? If I get that, I understand the pattern. But as it stands right now, not clear. You just wait. There might be a buy setup here. We'll consider if we want to take the buy or not. But as yet, I'll probably just wait. If we get a sell, we'll definitely take it. If there's any sell setup that forms there, we'll take the trade. Right? There's no sell setup. Pound Swiss. Okay, so this one is still in the consolidation. We expect this to, I thought this would go a little higher. So if they come back this deep, it means we might still go lower. We might still go lower within this bigger structure, right? See, within that bigger structure, it means that if they're coming lower, it can still drop to this level before you go back up, right? So we were expecting this one to drop to that level, and then it started to pull back. So now we will relook at it. Now that it's consolidating in this range here, we'll have to wait and see. That consolidation is negating any upside. So go back to the 4 hour. And the mere fact that this is coming down back, right? That's negating any possibility for the upside. So we would assume that this is all the consolidation here. This piece is all the consolidation, and that this is about to drop. So let's see in the 1 hour if we have anything like that. It'll most likely be like this, because this one is kind of pulling back really sharp, not helping in the direction, because if you get something like this here, that would mean upside. And if that means upside, it means we will still be in some bigger consolidation, right? If this goes up, we pull the trend line like this, and that means you're still in some kind of a bigger consolidation here. Going there and then coming down back, or going continue this, come down back, continue this, come down back, right? So should we take this buy? Well, we'll consider it. I think we can look at that in the trading room, and depending on if it stays in that range or if it comes lower. If it comes lower, it would be a sell. If it stays in that range, it could be a buy. Can we look at this as something that will be bigger? Yeah, I think we can look at that. I can even go with this as an expanding flat. That would make sense, right? Although I don't think that is the expanding flat. I think we've got to look at another one, but let's wait and see how the structure develops, and then we'll go. Pause. Okay, this was a nice drop, and now you're going back up. Let's see if we need to go back. Yeah, we need to go back up for this one. Like I showed you, I think it was Euros, right? Where we didn't have this move, so we'll have to go back up. So I think this one would probably just make another move up there, finish that structure, and then probably come down. So there's a buy setup here, short-term buy setup. I think it's worth taking. It's a little risky, but you can manage the risk of getting out for break even if it doesn't go. I think we can get break even out of this. So that would be a short-term buy setup. It's not a big one. You're anticipating a move, I don't know, equivalent to this. They don't have to be equal, but as an idea to gauge how far it can go, you can look at that one. Pang in. Perfect. I hope some of my traders in this trade already, because like I said, even if it drops through the bottom, we're expecting this to go back up. I don't think it's going to go much lower. Can it go much lower? It can. But if they come much lower, let's assume instead of going up, this one actually work its way back here and drop to this level. Well, then it becomes pretty easy. You go back up there and then you totally drop. Right? So if this drops again today, you come back here and you go there. If my traders are in the trade, you get break even out of that trade. So if you took it on the 15, which means if you took the trade here, anywhere in here, it would have to be here. You'd have to take it there. If you took it there, put it to break even, because we broke that top. And if you break the top and they want to come down, which means if you're looking at a 1, 2, 3 structure and it's going to come down, it's going to come down, take you out for break even, and then we would look for a sell setup. But this one could likely continue to go slow like that. So you don't need to take off the trade. Worst case is you're going to get break even in that trade. And let's see if it goes. Right. This will go back up. The only question is it going to go back up as a big impulse, or they'll come lower to this level and then go back up like this and finish that structure, right? So that's it. Okay. Okay, the same thing here. We expect this to go back one more, but it will be more like an equivalent of this one. And then you'll probably get one more downside, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if this crawls its way up a little here. And then we'll get a sell setup, because you'll get that running flat. Let's wait and see. Pound New Zealand. Okay, this broke out. It did make that flat drop here, and it's going back up. So we'll probably be in a bigger correction. All of this will become part of a much bigger correction. We'll see. Right? We can't put that yet, but we'll put it like this. And if this goes up, looks definitely upside. This piece here. Looks definitely upside. One more break the top. So a number of pound trades are showing upside, although the pound dollar is showing downside. So we'll have to be very careful with these trades. This could be the New Zealand movement. If New Zealand drops, you get that trade. And New Zealand will have to drop before the pound drop. So let's wait and see. Aussie yen, that was a good sell. And you might still get one more. I don't think we need to get another one. We're looking for the upside now. That drop was supposed to be the equivalent of this. It's not there as yet, which means that it could start to do what this did. Slow down here, kind of drop and, and then go back up, completing this flat. See? So that was a good sell. You made some profit. Let's go. Next one. See? After that, we expect this to go back up. So there might be a sell here, but it's not worth it. I don't think this is all the correction. So that sell is not worth it. That sell will probably wait. You can take it for a break even, right? If you think it's going to be a break even. If you get it from there to come to this level and then expect this up back there, and then we'll get that flat. And now we'll be looking for the big sell. Right? I don't think that's all the correction. So that is why I think it's going to go back up. You can take the trade, and if we're wrong about that, if we're wrong about it, then this is all the correction right down there. And this was the final move up, then it's going to drop really far, right? We'll see. A sell under the low. No, wait for a better sell setup here. So you can get out for break even. Aussie Swiss. Okay, you might finally be getting a sell setup here. Let's see where we are in the bigger picture, 4 hour. It's coming back down, not surprising. So we're looking at these two corrections and we're thinking, well, if this is one here, kind of this, do this and come back here. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So this is a good sell setup if you get it, right? We can go with that. Go back to the 1 hour. That's something we understand. So put an entry under the low. Don't put the entry here because this piece is really slow. See that piece is really slow? Put the entry under the low. If it goes really slow, tag, you will take it off, right? We want it to start dropping fast. You want this to actually start dropping really fast. If it's going to go slow, we will stay in the trade. Aussie, New Zealand. It's kind of going sideways. Leave it for now. You can still buy if you want, but you'll have to wait a while before you get a buy set up. Aussie CAD. This one dropped. We were expecting this to go back up a little too because this broke very nice here. The big picture is upside. You do have a big upside there, but it's coming back down. So let's see what the structure is. Just another low. It could be take that off. That never triggered. Well, we could have a new low. The question is whether we look at this as an expanding flat. I think when it was here, we were thinking expanding, running flat, right? For this to drop. When it was there, it was looking very good as a possible running flat for this to drop, but then this went up. So now that it's coming down, can we still look at it as a possible expanding flat? I think that makes sense. So if you get a sell here, there's a sell setup forming here. This would only be to break this low, drop like this and probably go back up because there's still enough move to come, but we can take the sell and it's a good trade. See how far it takes you. I don't think it's ready yet. I don't think it's ready for a sell because we're consolidating inside of that. New Zealand Swiss. This looks like a good sell. So let's look back at this. I think this one was this 1, 2, 3 here. See, this is 1, 2, 3, because this came down back. So you're looking at these two as a flat. This one was looking very much like it would make one more move there, right? Because it was consolidating, but it keeps slowly dropping. If it slowly drops, then we'll probably get one more downside. Let's go for it. See this correction here? Let's go for the sell here. I think that makes sense. Since it's not going up, it will likely come back down here. Because this is corrective, right? That's a correction. You had that bigger correction. You got this correction similar to this one, right? We can make an argument of those two being similar. You can make an argument for running flat here. Right, so like 1 flat drop, correction, 1, 2, 3 drop, correction. I don't know if you get 1, you get a 2, and you get a 3 again here. But it's doing this. So go with it. Can it potentially go all the way back to the bottom? It can, but it's just going very slow. Right? We can come back to the bottom here. This one started really slow too, if you watch, right? But then it dropped. So that sell might be worth taking, especially we don't have any New Zealand. We have dollar news, not New Zealand. This could drop like that if you follow the principle that this was going slow, and then they drop. Right. So let's see. Go back to the 1 hour. That's a good trade. I actually like it because there's good potential for it to drop. So take this off. Again, we're not in the buy. No need to worry. Now you get in the sell. What if it goes back up without tagging low? Who cares? I'm not buying it now. New Zealand CAD. Okay, so this one we were expecting because of the sharp move. If they make a flag go, it didn't, it dropped. So you have to probably have some patience and wait here because this is at a low. This is like the New Zealand dollar. This is at a low, right? I don't think it's a great idea to buy it at the low there, to sell it at the low, sorry. So I'll just ignore this sell. I'll rather sell the New Zealand Swiss. Ignore this sell something else. New Zealand yen. This could be a sell. Now it might or might not go back up, that depending on how you look at this. If you look at this as a contracting flat, as a 1, 2, 3, any sell setup here would be perfect. If it's not a contracting flat, then this would probably go back up. I don't know, go back up there, and then we'll figure out it. Right, we'd probably go with this one as a 1, 2, 3, and then a 1, 2, 3, and then sell it. So either we get a sell here today, or it goes back up and then we get a sell from the top here on Monday. It doesn't matter, we're looking for a sell setup. And that is all the consolidation here is confirming the sell setup. Canadian, there is a sell here, but this would mostly be a big flat, especially since it's coming back to the top here. It could do this and then go back up one more. This one is not looking like a big drop. If it doesn't go all that high, then it could drop pretty low. We'll see. You just have to wait and see which of those two options are going to happen. And this one is not. We can't move that end shoulder. We've got this flat here. Right. The reason we keep the end shoulder here for that possible you're making a new high. So this is going to be a 1, 2, 3. You have a series of 1, 2, 3 here. I think you could make an argument for a smaller one there too. And then you drop short and then you make a 1, 2, 3. You still have to drop here and go back up before this fall. It's not going to drop right now. I don't think that will even drop on Monday. Probably be stuck there for a while. But you can leave the entry order there. Cat Swiss. Okay. At some point, this thing will come back only because it might come back as one of these sharp moves. Right, so if you get a sell there, you can make an assumption you could get a sharp move like that. Right, just to probably finish off one of those big running flats. So a sell, if it goes higher, don't sell it. Right, you'll have to wait for a buy. Right, if this thing goes higher like this and then come back here, that would be a buy setup. Swiss yen. Okay, so we came down to the bottom here. You can take this off. You can keep it there if you want. It's still going to go back up, but only this time it's going to be a running flat. It's going to do this and then drop. So we have 2 or 3 yen pairs that has this very similar structure. One more up, and then the big drop is coming. Keep focused. Keep an eye on them, right? So that buy is still valid. If we get it at the better spot, we'll take it, but it's still valid. Now that you broke the low, good, right? Were we thinking of selling this coming down? No, it is useless. You try to sell that, you only get break evens. This could be a good trade, and then you try to sell it from the top there coming down. Right? So I think that's it. Finish that one. Let's finish the Chinese one. Right. If you bought, you did well. It didn't drop. You'll have to buy above this stop. That's your only buy setup, right? It turned out this is the flat. Right? And this piece was just a 3-wave structure, and this was a slow move up. You can buy here or you can buy here, whichever you buy, or you can put an entry order to buy there and see how far it goes. Slow movement. You're getting divergence. At some point, it will make a deeper correction. But that's a good correction for a buy. Right? So that's a trade. That's all you have. Thank you for watching. You guys have a great weekend. And I hope I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you're learning something as well. And whenever you feel you have the cash and you want to join a wonderful group of traders, feel free to Skype me. Right. Take care. Have a great weekend. I don't know if I'll bring out part two, because not much change happened, and then most of them drop, and we're not looking for the drops. We're looking for the buy. So you'd have to wait for them to go back up, make another flag, and then buy. So right now, there's not much interest in the cryptos as of today. I don't think today we will get an up move and a flag to buy. If you're selling short term, then just trade with care, because they're all in a very, very low place. Right? Take care. Have a great weekend. See all of you on Monday. Maybe over the weekend, I would put out the webinars. I'll see. So set up your notification to get it. Thank you. Bye-bye.